Babe, set us up for San Francisco, man. I'm terrified. I'm not very optimistic whatsoever. Help me.
I was discussing this with somebody yesterday. They were like, "Oh, we're going to lose." I said, "What fun is it to be a fan?" And I know we're technically not fans, but you live in the city, and what fun is it for the fans out here that follow the Cowboys, that live and die with the Cowboys, to go into a game saying, "Oh, well, we're just going to get beat. We're going to get beat. If we don't get beat this week, we'll get beat next week in Philly."
Right.
I mean, I'm always like, for any team, right? Hey, here we are. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see if we can do this. And obviously, there's 32 teams in the NFL. Only one of them is going to finish on a good note. But if they play the way they played against Tampa, there's no question they can beat San Francisco. San Francisco, again, probably a better team. You play them 10 times. San Francisco is going to win 6 of them. But you get to play those other 4 too, where you get to win. So a lot of things happen in a football game, as we know. Probably no better example than, it happens every week, but Baltimore and Cincinnati, they have 14-point swing. They're going in for a score of Baltimore. There's a quarterback sneak. Quarterback reaches the ball out, stupidly, I might add, on 3rd down. Never reached the ball out until 4th down. And ball gets poked, and suddenly it's a 14-point swing, and the game's over. So ball takes funny bounces, and you just got to hope it bounces your way.
Babe, I'm under the belief that last year they were not prepared for how physical San Fran was in that game. Do you think that that game helped them this year be a little bit better prepared for that first punch in the mouth they're going to take?
Well, I would disagree only in the sense that, all these teams are physical. They really are. There's not a soft team going. Now, I think one thing that did get them in the mindset of is we got to get bigger at that tackle position. It's one of the reasons why they went out and got Jonathan Hankins mid-season, for the run defense. They just weren't as big and physical from that standpoint. They could get pushed around because they didn't have that kind of size. Now, that's the flip side. If you want to be that fast, speedy, go get the quarterback defense, right? You're probably not going to have 2 fat asses sitting in between the tackles, right? Just taking up space. No, you got to think of like a guy like Ted Washington. Remember Ted Washington?
Yeah.
He was a good player, all of that, but he was going to occupy about 3 feet to the right of him and 3 feet to the left of him. But you weren't going to get anywhere in that 6 feet of space he had. Now, if you wanted to run outside, he wasn't going to come near you. But the Cowboys didn't have that. Again, they tried, I think, to get a little bit of that with Jonathan Hankins.
Babe, looks like San Francisco has had trouble at different times this year when I've watched them dealing with tight ends. And I know Dalton Schultz has come on pretty strong in recent weeks. Is there an argument to be made that, Schultz's impact may be just as important this week as somebody like Lamb?
I think it has to be across the board, honestly, Bobby. I think they're going to have to get contributions from everyone. And that's the way playoff football is. You can beat teams probably that aren't as good as you with not getting contributions, if you will, from this position group or that position group because you're better. It's going to be all hands on deck. I truly believe that. They're going to have to be able to run the ball somewhat. Now, San Francisco, obviously one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL run defense, but they're going to have to figure out a way to not drop Dak back 50 times in this game. That's not sustainable.
The passing defense definitely a little sus, so maybe that gives Cowboys an opportunity there. I'm wondering, when you were looking at the game tape, Seattle essentially looked like they had them on the ropes a bit heading into the half. Obviously, they blew them out when they came back. But is there anything the Cowboys can take from that first half with Seattle heading into this one, Babe?
Yeah, Seattle had the lead, halfway through the third quarter. And then, as you say, they did get blown out by the end of it. But no, I think you just have to you have to do the things you do well. You have to emphasize the things you do well. I almost think playoff games, you get less fancy, if you will, than the regular season because you've gone through a whole regular season and you've seen kind of what works, what you struggled with a little bit. So you get into the playoff games, and to me, the experimentation time is over. You just say, hey, okay, we know we do this really well. Let's just do more of it.
Babe, we had a fight break out yesterday, shockingly, on this show. Purdy versus Garoppolo. Bobby and I think that Purdy's a better player, and Choppy was saying we're disrespecting Jimmy. Is Brock Purdy for real, and what is he in what you've looked at on tape.
Yeah, he's for real for 6 games, right? I mean, he has played well. And sometimes I do think you go and you just see stats at the end of the day, and then you go look at the tape and you say, wow, well, he got away with this one. That should have been intercepted. This one was lucky. He is playing well. If you did not know he was a rookie, 7th-round pick, all the stuff we talk about, you would just look at him and say, man, this guy's playing well. He's making really good decisions. He's throwing it away when he has to. Now, part of that offense, too, when you're doing all those bootlegs and play actions, you only read half the field. You're not scanning left, middle, right, that type of thing. So it really helps out a younger quarterback. But, hey, it's on him. Ultimately, he's a guy pulling the trigger, and I think he's just done there's no secret here, fantastic job. And he does kind of remind me a little bit of Dak, not in play style, but you look at what Dak did at Mississippi State, right? Not a traditional power. And he had that team at one point ranked number 1 in the country. And they won 10 games, 11 games. And then he left, and they weren't quite as successful. And Brock Purdy, same thing. He had 46 starts there at Iowa State. He's played a lot of football. And then he left, and last year Iowa State goes 4-8. So those 2 guys have kind of carried teams on their shoulders. They don't necessarily have to do it now. Then you look at it, hey, Tom Brady last week, right? They get Brady. He was starting his 48th playoff game. It was almost 400 starts in the NFL. Brock Purdy last year was playing in the Cheez-It Bowl. And now he's sitting here playing the Dallas Cowboys.
I love Cheez-It.
Yeah, very good.
He just looks very calm back there, I'll tell you.
Babe, the Cowboys added a kicker to the practice squad, but they are going to go with Maher.
We think.
What do you do? What do you do about the Maher situation in game this coming week?
Well, the one thing you can't do is panic. So you have to have a game plan, and they will, going into that game. I mean, they'll watch him kick here today and tomorrow, but you can't. Whatever you decide, in my mind, you got to stick with it. So if you say Maher's our kicker and we're sticking with him, if, God forbid, he misses the first one, you can't then panic and say, okay, well, that's it. I would, you know what's funny? I would like to say it'd be great if he got a short one to get in the groove, but, he missed, including Washington, 5 straight PATs. He has hit 10 straight from 50+. So maybe the best thing for Maher is to put him back there at like 58, give him a shot. I'm kind of half kidding. But
half.
I'm like everybody else. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm like, my eyes were deceiving me or something, because again, he was 50 of 51 on PATs. He had 2 blocked, and so to watch him do what he did in Tampa, and I know nothing about kicking, so, but sometimes that's the beauty of it too. I guarantee you that there's not Zach Martin is not saying to Maher, hey, Brett, I don't want to intrude or anything, but I think your plant foot was about a half inch inside of where it should, right? Hey, if you're out golfing, RJ's been there. If you're out golfing and you ball's going a little sideways, everybody's got a tip for you. Hey, you're a little quick at the top. You're a little quick. You're a little quick today.
That's golf in general.
Right. Yep. The kicker, you just look at him and then you walk on.
Hey, Babe, real quick, because we got Cassidy Hubbard from ESPN. I know you had some thoughts on the coaching carousel, the Sean Payton, all the coaching news that's taking place right now.
Yeah, well, here's the interesting part to me, Sean, is there's 8 teams left in these playoffs, right? 7 of them are offensive coaches. 7 of them came from the offensive side of the ball. The only one that's not is Sean McDermott. So all these openings, it's almost like you put a sign on, defensive coordinators need not apply.
Right.
Everybody's looking for that guy. Hey, Denver, they're looking for somebody to get Russell Wilson back to where he was, and these other teams are looking for that guy to develop their young quarterback. So, Sean Payton obviously is interviewed, I think, for every NFL job. He coached, remember he was out of football for the year, suspended. He coached his son's 6th grade team.
Yeah.
Do you think he interviewed for that position?
I don't think so.
Or do you think he just said, hey, I'm Sean Payton, I'm going to coach?
Right. Kevin James.
Wouldn't it be great if somebody wanted to, stick their chest out a little bit and say, well, we're going to have to interview you, and I'm going to see what other candidates are out there. We'll get back to you.